Yeah, Start thinks you're dumb. That, or they're starting to think that their conveying of information is not too good. Go over here to the banners. Before, they added this pity details. Before, it was just your pull history. So, that's still there. Pity details is, for the most part, it just seems to be like snippets of what was already in the details here. Like, it's like exactly the same. um yeah, says that maybe I'm incorrect. All recruitment attempts failed. Okay, it says it'll carry over, so that's the 160. 120 doesn't carry over. I'm pretty sure it says that over in the details here. Yeah, right there. Does not say that the 160 carries over in here, but does say that in here. But I mean, I assumed you can infer that if it doesn't say that the 160 doesn't carry over, but it does say that for the 120, you can assume the 160 carries over. I don't know why there were a lot of people thinking that it didn't. Whatever. Other information saying the 120 and 160 are calculated independently. So, whatever people were thinking of before, people kept thinking like the 120 was a pity, and it's not. I believe those are typically called sparks. You just get to that pull amount on that banner, and then you're able to claim the character. It has nothing to do with the 160. So theoretically, you know, you get the 120, get the character. So now you only have 40 pulls to get to this guarantee. You can use it to get another copy of the character, or you can go to the next banner or whatever. Do whatever you like. The 50-50, there's a 50-50, but the 50-50 is only for, it has nothing to do with the guarantee. 120 is a spark guarantee. There's nothing about that. Oh, no catches with that. The 160 guarantee, that is a guarantee, that's not a 50-50. Any early 5 stars before the 160 is a 50-50, and you can continue losing that. So, and I don't know, to me, that's just kind of whatever. I base whenever I'm engaging with a gacha in these games. I'm typically I'm aiming for the guarantee. So it's whatever to me. Like, compared to Hoyo's systems, which, by the way, Hoyo's systems, this 2% here, I think is pretty substantial. Like, majority of my 5 stars I've gotten before the guarantee. But in Hoyo's gacha systems, which, you know, Hoyo games use and Muwa uses, like, don't even count on getting an early 5 star. Like, that shit is not happening. But here, I mean, game's only been out for a month, and I've gotten probably at least 3 or 4 before the guarantee. So I would say that's pretty substantial. Maybe I'm just getting lucky. I don't know. However, I did go all the way to 160 once. So, and that was for the previous character, I believe. But I did something stupid and continued pulling to get to the sparks. I wouldn't recommend doing that, because it's the copies for characters aren't they're not that substantial. Like, they're like small kind of stat boosts. You know, you get some. I mean, I guess they're not like small. Like, they're still somewhat significant, but they're not. They're not like locking any quality of life or key things in their kits behind copies, which is what a lot of the other games like to do that typically use like the Hoyo gacha. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. Yeah, they added this P details because there was just a lot of misinformation with this game at launch. I don't know if people just, I know people don't like to read. Like, that's understandable. I don't like to read either, but when it comes to something that you're gonna be engaging with, like a gacha system, you're probably a smart thing to read the details. Just saying. Like, so I don't know. I think Yostar is still terrible with conveying information for other reasons besides just this, because even like a lot of people, they just thought, well, there's a lot to go over. Maybe I'll make another video on the other misinformation stuff, but people are stupid too. That's just the way it is. I don't know. Like, it's one thing to like not read things and be ignorant about it, but then to then complain about something without even reading the details or whatever after you've experienced the gacha is, I don't know. It's just, I just think that's just dumb. So, but the misinformation, the coverage of this game, I don't know if it's because, like, I do like the game. I enjoy it. It's just a little small casual game to just play, kind of keep up with. That's what all these are. But this is just very easy to stay up to date with, unlike a lot of the other games that I'm playing, which I'm probably gonna end up just dropping. Maybe not all of them, but yeah, maybe it's because I do like the game or whatever. I just wanted to make a video to clear misinformation up. I don't want to defend these gacha companies, but, and I'm not seeing me making this video as that. I am wanting to combat misinformation. That is what I'm doing. I don't want to defend these gacha companies at all, because this shit is still dumb. Yeah. Again, I wanted to make this video combat misinformation. I don't again, I don't want to defend these gacha companies, because this shit is, I don't like the monetization, especially if they're like really pushing on like copies of characters or specific characters or whatever, which a lot of other games tend to do. I'm not really feeling that in this, at least not yet. It's only been a month. And I guess pool currency, yeah, I would say the pool currency could be brought up some. They did have a beta event that it only went on for like a week. So, and I can't remember. I think you got like, it was either 1,000 or 1,300 for participating in it. And they had like tiered rankings, so you could technically get more. But the tier rankings, like the highest was like in the top 30%, so it isn't like the top 10% like what Boss Blitz is, which I think should refresh much sooner. Like this, I think this is like about a whole month of a refresh. Same thing with Cataclysm Survivors. Like it's like the rewards you get from these are pretty small, and they refresh not very much. But if that beta event that they had like a week, was it last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, if that's something that happens, it's like a weekly thing, that would boost the poll currency by a pretty significant amount, because that would be essentially a third of a 10 poll every week. So, and you get the 120 spark. I'd say that's pretty substantial, so. This kind of a ranty video. I mean, this is first time I'm making a video without a script, so I don't have notes. Probably should have done that. But again, felt like I needed to make this information because misinformation is being perpetuated still. People are still believing shit that isn't true, and that includes the quote-unquote rug pull. I don't know where exactly that came from. I guess it was mainly because of the beta that was for the English or the West global. The poll currency was 150, and then without any like news or whatever, which by the way, CCs that had access or played the version of the game just before release, they should have known that. I've got some proof of that relating to Sticks. He should have known that the poll currency was upped before release. And as far as I'm aware, he did not correct or say anything about the rug pull being false. I also don't know what NDA he was under and everything. Maybe he couldn't talk about the increase of the poll currency and the changes to the gacha. I don't know. And people were quick to correct the misinformation, I think that MTash said, in relation to Arknight's Enfield. And how, you know, saying, oh, people are going to leave because of what Yostar did here with their own game, and they're, you know, related to Arknight's Enfield. Well, Yostar isn't involved with Arknight's Enfield anymore. And people were relatively quick to correct that. However, that's because there's already fans of Arknights. Arknights is an already established IP. So there are people who are going to be relatively quick in combating that misinformation. This is a brand new IP. There aren't any fans of it. Fans of it were established when the game launched. So, and nobody wants to do research or their due diligence and looking and combating misinformation, I guess. Because I feel like I've lost integrity for a lot of these CCs with the coverage of this game. I don't know. And maybe that's a bias because I do like the game. But so yeah. I think Yostar thinks people are dumb. because they can't read the details of things and comprehend what they're reading. But I also think Yostar isn't very good at conveying information, and they should work on that. And I assume that they are working on that. They are kind of correcting some mistakes, like with the changes, putting in a pity detail. So I don't know. I guess that's pretty much it. I'm probably missing some things, and maybe I'll make another video kind of going over some other details of misinformation, but it gets tiring seeing misinformation perpetuated, continuously said. And I don't want to defend these gadget companies, I really don't, but it's not a, like, I don't believe this is a, you know, which evil do you defend, but, because I don't think CCs are necessarily evil, and people make mistakes, but I don't know. But probably won't do anything making this video. We'll see. Won't know unless you try, right? A little bit of a PSA. Type Slurs Rewind is releasing tomorrow. It's kind of an older, you know, shooter from like the mid 2000s. Played it when I was a kid. It was awesome. It's releasing tomorrow. It's completely free. Got a PC. It's relatively decent. Give it a try, you know, rather than playing whatever live service or gotcha slop that you're playing. Also, Total Chaos released, well, I guess 2 days ago now at this point, but I only played a little bit of the demo. But if you're into survival horror games, I think this is a good one. I didn't play the Doom mod for this, so it's all new to me, but it's something about it. It's giving me a good feeling that it's going to be a good game. So yeah, if you're into survival horror games, I'd recommend this. If you're into shooters, or specifically older shooters, Time Splitters Rewind might be a good one.